Hello and welcome to M.D.Zafar lectures. Today we'll talk about cornea. If you are new to my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe for more lectures. Today our aims and objectives are to understand the anatomy of cornea and understand different functions of cornea. Now, before going into the details of cornea, we will try to understand what is the main structure of eyeball. So the basic structure of eyeball has three layers: the outermost layer, the middle layer, and inner layer. The outermost layer has two parts. This part is the sclera and this part is the cornea, and this part is the limbus. Now this is a sphere, and 5/6 of that sphere is this part that is known as sclera, and 1/6, the anterior 1/6 is cornea. Then we have the middle layer, is known as the vascular layer. It has three parts. Number one, the iris, the ciliary body, and choroid. Now this iris forms the aperture through which the light enters into the eye. With the ciliary body, there is a meshwork which holds the lens in its definitive place, and this choroid provides, through diffusion, nutrition for the third layer of the eye. Now talking about the third and innermost layer, otherwise known as the sensory or the neuronal layer, is this inner part, that is the retina. Retina has outer pigmented layer and inner neuronal layer in which the rods and cones are present, which are responsible for the perception of light as well as color. Now this is the optic nerve which goes into the brain, and it gives us the visual perception of the color, shape, and all the specificities of any object we are looking at. Apart from these layers, there are certain structures and substances which are present inside the eye lens, and this part, the inner part of the eye, is filled with vitreous humor, and the anterior part of the eye is filled with aqueous humor. Now aqueous humor is present in the anterior as well as the posterior chamber. We will talk about them in the lecture of glaucoma. Now we will come to our main topic, that is cornea. Cornea is this portion like this. Now cornea is a round, convex, transparent anterior 1/6 of the eye, and the main function of it is to refract light. Now as light enters through this aperture, it is refracted onto the retina like this. Now this refraction power accounts for 2/3 of the total optical power of the eye. Cornea is spherical in the center, but in the periphery it gets flatter. As you could see here in the periphery, it gets a bit flat, but over here it is like a sphere. Talking about the dimensions, it has a diameter of 11.5 millimeter, and its thickness is different in the center as well as the periphery. In the center, it has a thickness of 0.5 to 0.6 millimeter over here, and in the periphery it will have a thickness of 0.6 to 0.8, that is over here. Now the refractive power of cornea is positive 43 diopters. Talking about a bit of embryology, the epithelium of cornea develops from the ectoderm and the stoma develops from the neural crest cells. Now we will talk about certain special properties which the tissue or the structure of cornea possesses. Number one is the transparency. It has refractory powers and it is avascular. It is highly sensitive to touch, temperature, and chemicals, and it has immature immune cells. Now this transparency and avascularity are related because light has to pass through this cornea, and if it has certain amount of blood vessels or anything on it, there will not be this transparency possible. So nature has not placed any blood vessels within the structure of cornea to provide the complete transparency through it. Now we will talk about the anatomy of the structure of cornea. Number one, we have epithelium, then we have Bowman's membrane, then we have lamina propria, Descemet's membrane, and endothelium. As you could see from this diagram, there is the structure of cornea. If we have a microscopic view, we will have this epithelium, this Bowman's layer, the stroma or lamina propria, the Descemet's membrane, and the endothelial cell layer. We will talk about them in detail. Another diagram to give you a much better view. This is the epithelium. This is the Bowman's layer. This is the stroma. This is the descendants membrane, and this is the single cell endothelial layer. Now, number one in the structure of cornea, we have epithelium. There are different types of epitheliums. We have squamous epithelium, which appears to be like this, stratified squamous epithelium, columnar epithelium, and cuboidal epithelium. What we have over here in the cornea is stratified squamous epithelium, which is this one. It is arranged in three layers. The basal layer, this one is the basal layer. Then we have the wing cells, which will be forming about this much part. And then we have the surface cells, which have microvilli, and they are in contact with the tear film. Like you could see that there will be small microvilli on the surface of the stratified squamous epithelial surface cells. Now we'll talk about Bowman's membrane. This is the Bowman's membrane. It is 8 to 14 micrometers thick. It is a cellular layer of condensed collagen, and it has no power of regeneration that on damage it will not be able to reconstruct or regenerate itself. Now we'll talk about lamina propria or stroma. As you could see, it makes 90% of the thickness of the cornea. It has ground substance of proteoglycan. The cells are the keratocytes, which are collagen producing cells, and it has collagen fibrils, which are arranged in a manner to provide the structural strength to the structure of cornea so that it can remain in its definitive position. Talking about the descendants membrane, which is over here, it is 10 to 12 micrometer thick, and it is just the basement membrane for the endothelial cells of the cornea. Now talking about the endothelium. Endothelium is a single layer of hexagonal cells, which is this layer, and it just maintains dehydration status of the cornea. Of the blood supply, there is none, so you don't have to remember any. It is avascular. But the nerve supply. Nerve supply is long ciliary nerve, which is a branch of ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. Now we'll talk about functions of cornea. Number one, it has 2/3 of the refractory power of the eye. What is refraction? Come to this diagram. This is air, this is water, this is the refracting surface. Whenever an incident light comes over, it can either get reflected back or it can get refracted. Now this refraction is important in the eye because, as you could see, as this is a flower, as our eye sees it, the light that passes through the cornea is refracted over the retina so that an image can be perceived in our brain. If the light would have reflected, we will not be able to see anything. So this is the refraction of light, and positive 43 diopters is the refractory power, and it is 2/3 of the total optical refractory power of eye. Now it also provides protection against dust and bacteria, as it is highly sensitive to dust and bacteria, and it is avascular, and this avascular property maintains the transparency. Because of this transparency, we can see all the objects clearly without any impression of blood vessel or blurriness in our eyes. Thank you very much for listening. For more lectures, kindly subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.